Why should the minimum wage be raised to $15 an hour? A raise in the minimum wage will help millions of individuals and families. The federal minimum wage is actually $7.25, but it should be closer to $15 or even higher. Though Democrats in the House of Representatives have tried to raise it, Congress has not increased it since 2009. Low wages hurt all workers and are particularly harmful to black workers and other workers of color, especially women of color, who make up a disproportionate share of workers who are severely underpaid. This is the result of structural racism and sexism, with an economic system rooted in chattel slavery, in which workers of color, and especially women of color, have been and continue to be shunted into the most underpaid jobs. But then again, the last time Congress voted to raise the wage to its current rate of $7.25 an hour was 12 years ago. Since then, the cost of life's essentials have shot up. Groceries cost 20% more, a gallon of gas costs 25% more, and average tuition at a community college increased 44%. Sophia Cotton, a young black mother with one child who makes $7.50 an hour working at McDonald's. So how does she stretch her budget? With a lot of help from the government. Here is a look into the Here is a look inside the life and budget of a low-wage worker. This clip can be found on YouTube.
My name is Sophia Cotton. I'm 22. I have a 1-year-old son. I'm a single mom. I make $7.50 an hour at McDonald's. Nothing. I make $2.30 to $2.40 every 2 weeks. I've been working there for almost a year. I haven't had a raise since I started working there. Then so a week you going home every day. I came into work one morning. I had to be there at 7, and once the general manager came in, she came in like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and she was like, oh, "Okay, well, Sophia, you can clock out." And I'm like, "Well, I just got here." She's like, "Oh, well, we don't need you. Labor's high. You can go ahead and clock out." It's not really matter to them if we making our hours and getting paid. I got 261 in food stamps last month. Then they deducted it to 216. To go through the whole month for 216 is feeding my son, me, every day, like feeding breakfast, lunch, dinner. So I buy like frozen foods that I can keep in the refrigerator or the freezer. I don't buy fresh fruits and stuff like that because it's not guaranteed that it'll be eaten or make it stretch. Come on. With child care, I get CCIS, which is like covers your child care for any daycare that you would like your child to go to. I do pay a copayment for $10 a week. His dad's actually incarcerated, so it's like just me. Come on.
Safi.
I want my son to not have to struggle the way I struggle. He going have a good paying job. He's not going to have to pick through anything. He's like, I'm going to do anything he want to do, he'll be able to do. Give me a cup. I'm going to make it easier for him so he won't have to see a struggle at all. Because I would rather struggle for him than him struggle for me. Like, I just want him to know. I'll make it easier for him. Yeah. My number one always is to make sure that my rent is paid, so I make sure that we have somewhere to live. Me and my sister split it. We paid $220 a piece. I was in 30 pays, $125 of it for us. One of my checks was $238, and it was like the week that rent was due. So it was like I paid the rent. I had no other choice. But then I found myself borrowing. So when my next check come, that's my check that I use like to get diapers, my son some clothes. Like that's the check that I use to get those things. So it's like I find myself breaking into that because I have to pay everybody back. I only go to the doctor like if I need to go or I have no other choice to go, I go. I needed a root canal for one of my back teeth, and it was like, well, you know, if you get a root canal, it's, I think they told me it was like around $300 something, but they needed like a down payment. Like I couldn't, either I had to pay the whole thing or put down like half down payment. So I'm just like, okay, well, how much would it be like to pull a tooth or whatever? And they like, oh, well, it's free to pull a tooth, but we rather not pull a tooth because it's savable. And then I'm like, well, I'd rather you pull it because it's like I can't pay for it, but it's bothering me and I don't want the pain. So I'd rather you just pull a tooth. It's not really what you want to do, but it's what you have to settle for because you can't afford to get the right dental care. If I wasn't getting like rent assistance, food stamps, or childcare help, I think I would still be like living in a shelter or something because I wouldn't be able to pay rent and take care of my son and, you know, make sure he clothed and fed off of the checks that I received from McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Come on, eat. It bothers me that I have to rely on government help, and I know that they making billions and billions of dollars. Like, it's like, why should I have to rely on them when I'm working for you? I should be able to rely on you to pay me for doing the things that you want me to do for you. And I believe that sooner or later it'll change, and I won't be struggling, and I won't have to, you know, pick from eating and buying my son something. Like, I'll be able to do both.
The new essential and frontline workers make up a majority, 60% of those who would benefit from a $15 minimum wage. The median pay is well under $15 an hour for many essential and frontline jobs. Examples include substitute teachers, $13.84, nursing assistants, $14.26, and home health aides, $12.15. The minimum wage should be increased so that people can survive. With the cost of living going up, so should wages. The following information was released by the Congressional Budget Office. Raising the minimum wage according to the Economic Policy Institute to $15 an hour could increase a worker's annual salary by $51,000, which would likely go toward daily necessities. The Raise the Wage Act of 2021 would gradually raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2025 and narrow racial and gender pay gaps. Phasing out the substantially low sub-minimum wage for tip workers would lift pay, provide stable paychecks, and reduce poverty for millions of tip workers. There are 1.3 million tip workers throughout the country who are paid as little as $2.13 per hour because Congress has not lifted the federal tip wage in 30 years. Another 1.8 million tip workers receive wages above $2.13, but still less than their state's regular minimum wage. Raising the minimum wage would eventually fix long-standing ethnic and gender disparities. It will help to alleviate poverty. It will help the economy expand. It will save money for taxpayers and will the usage of government programs. And that is also what the vast majority of Americans want. Moreover, because companies are getting better performance from workers in return for paying them more, a higher minimum wage does not necessarily lead to fewer jobs. With a more productive workforce, more economic value is being created, and there is more money to go around. So a higher paycheck for one person does not simply amplify another person's loss.